Trump has never set foot on African soil. Trump's idea of what's happening in Africa is distant stories. The stories been hearing from Johan Rupert and Zelensky and Putin should meet in South Africa, and then maybe this guy will be satisfied. And Arabile, my head boy, must call him back and say, "Hey, my man."
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the On the podcast.
Am I allowed to swear in here?
Yeah, I know we said let's not blame the government.
It's just sad when we start them becoming indoctrinated. No view on me.
Hi guys, I'm Emilio Tobias and welcome back to another episode of the On the Complete podcast with Emilio Tobias. Today is quite an interesting international story, and I think sometimes we must also just give credit where credit's due. Don't let politics makes us not be able to see when someone does well. For example, in America, they're finding it very difficult now to give Donald Trump his props for his involvement in the Russia-Ukraine situation. The left is refusing to give him any credit, even if we can say that 99% of what he's done is wrong, if that's your view. Like, to deny the 1% is weird, and it's what normally makes you puts you off one side or the other. The same is true here. Cyril has been doing good work, especially last week. He's been doing international travel. He went to Madagascar for something. Very interesting, some of those videos there, because Madagascar culturally is quite Indian. And as much as it's considered an African country or island, the ethnicity is closer to the Indian people, because there was a time when the Indian continent or the Indian subcontinent was separate from the main body. Story for another day. Go read up on why Mauritius is so Indian, or maybe it's because the British colonized there. I don't know. Cyril went to Mauritius, then he went to Japan for Africa Summit. So everyone met in Japan for an Africa Summit. Quite interestingly, maybe Japan is such a big, trade partner of Africa that all the African leaders like to travel. African leaders like to travel. And the deeper in Africa you go, the more they travel. These guys, you've heard the stories of Mugabe going to London for breakfast and then coming back. It's like so. And I believe, I don't know if it's a virtual meeting or whatever, but Cyril is about to, or has now just met with European leaders that were all at Donald Trump's office. They were all sitting there like children listening to Donald Trump talk. The Prime Minister or the President of Italy, if you look at her face, she knows exactly what this looks like. So, quite interestingly, the dynamic between the role Donald Trump is playing in this thing and the role Cyril Ramaphosa is playing in the thing. Donald Trump, as much as we can debate the purity of his intentions about this thing, or the selfishness of his intentions, because I think his intentions, or the most, what's the word? Not evil, man. But the most selfish motivation I can think of for Trump is that he really does want to be seen as a peacemaker. These old guys, when they get close to being done, they start looking at legacy. I don't think he has any other ulterior motive. I think the worst ulterior motive, which is not a bad one, is that he wants to be known for having created peace, long-lasting peace in all these different areas for selfish reasons. Like anyone else who is a leader, you want to be a good leader in order to be able to feel good about yourself and to be praised on some level. Whether it's not praise like worship and people bowing at your feet, but just You want the acknowledgement that you made a difference. Anyone from Mandela to whichever other great leaders, good or bad, they want to be known for the impact that they had. And that's what legacy is. So Trump is busy with this, and Trump really wants to make like he's the one responsible for all the nice things. Not realizing South Africa has probably played just as big a role per capita, depending on the money, because I mean, the thing that America does have is money. Compared to the European countries and whatever, they don't have that much bite. Donald Trump has money, and he's not beholden to his party or any party in America for that matter. So you'll remember Cyril had a meeting with Zelensky months ago. And Zelensky was in Pretoria, and Donald Trump wanted to get hold of Zelensky, tried to call him. And they said to him, he can call you back later. He's in South Africa right now, has a meeting there. And Trump was like, what? What is he doing in South Africa out of all places? And is Trump realizing how, or not realizing how powerful South Africa is in the conversation, the moral authority that South Africa has in the world. That is what made them expedite the meeting to meet with Cyril at the White House. And yes, of course, the topics were about Julius Malema and all those other things. But the reverence that both Zelensky and Putin has for South Africa, or even if it's just Cyril, people don't realize. So now it's interesting. Putin is the guy who gets invited to the party, and he tells Cyril about the party. Yo, bruh, I'm going here to this party. You should come. And Cyril's like, no, bruh, the guy doesn't like me. I don't know if I should go. And Putin's like, no, bruh, come through. Because Cyril called BRICS nations, but probably the only African country that he called after his meeting with Trump was Cyril. Cyril's been out of the country, but Cyril's been taking calls. Cyril's been running the international game, which is what I think a president should do. Give Paul a chance to see how things work. Give Paul Mashatile a chance, let him figure out what's going on when the big dog is not in the house. But Cyril's really been doing well, and we must give him props. So I'm hearing or understanding that Cyril will be meeting with the European leaders who are in office, and they're reporting on it on Newsroom Africa. So let's watch. Sorry for that long intro. That was an intro and a conclusion, but let's hear what they have to say in Newsroom Africa.
Cyril Ramaphosa has met with European leaders to discuss ways to help bring peace to the Russia-Ukraine war. The talks focused on dialogue and South Africa's role in supporting international mediation amid growing concerns over the conflict's humanitarian as well as the economic impact. International relations expert, that's Dr. Kingsley Makubela, join us now to explain whether these discussions could lead to any real progress. Kingsley, thank you so much for the time. Good morning to you.
I went to school with Arabic. I don't think you remember the I still be in grade 8 or grade 9. And he was the head boy in our school.
When you start seeing presidents like Emmanuel Macron, like Sir Keir Starmer, all of them pointing out and having statements that relate to having a conversation with President Cyril Ramaphosa in trying to aid peace and the progress between Russia and Ukraine, that looks like we're making some real change. Is that possible from a South African perspective?
Good morning, Arabile, and good morning to you, Imani, too. No, there has been a concerted effort, one by the Russian Federation. Each time they are about to have discussions, President Putin would phone all members of the BRICS and give them a high-level briefing about the discussion and the outcome of the discussion. This is what happened during the Alaska summit, and we've seen that pattern going on. So it appears now quite clearly that the Europeans are doing the same. They are trying to woo certain countries that they think may bring numbers, because this is a game of numbers. I don't think South Africa is involved in mediation. Mediation in that conflict, I believe, is very complex. And mediation.
I don't know. Maybe this guy just knows a whole lot of me, but he's sounding very, not unpatriotic, but doesn't trust the strength of Cyril or South Africa, or is like, there's no way they're gonna respect the opinion of a black guy of an African country. Like, no, bruh, maybe we do have a bigger role in this thing. Cyril was one of the first ones, if not the first, in the beginning of this conflict to go see both Zelensky and Putin. It's funny, these guys kind of have the same name. I don't know if you know this. So, cool, Cyril went there early and it hasn't amounted to much from what we could have seen, because South Africa does not have the money to be able to threaten either side. But there must be a reason why we're still in the conversation. There must be a reason why we're still in the conversation. You can't tell me that South Africa is not having a big impact on this whole thing. Yeah, maybe Omi just knows way more than me, but it sounds like when a child can't believe that their father is the one that's the top dog at work, or the father is the one that gave the boss that idea. It feels very...
By its nature, it requires both disputants to accept the mediator. And the mediator has to stay neutral on issues that are causing the dispute. And the mediator cannot be neutral in terms of resolving the conflict. Remember, you get involved in the mediation because you want to bring an end to a conflict and save life. This is one conflict that South Africa has no role. South Africa cannot play that. The Europeans themselves, in terms of the mediation that is handled by the US, they are the periphery, they are not the core. So South Africa, it's no way involved. And I think this is a question of lobbying South Africa that you're starting to see. And I've already said, Arabile, that...
No, bruh, you can't say that they're busy lobbying South Africa. South Africa has made their position clear the whole time. As much as they're not taking sides in the war, and we all know that kind of means we're on Russia's side, they were clear at all times that it's best to resolve whatever issues these two countries have with dialogue, like the national dialogue we're about to have. So, how can you lobby me, but I'm already in the lobby, bruh? I'm inside, bruh. I'm in the hall. I'm not even in the lobby anymore. How are you lobbying me? So I think, this is just, bro, give Cyril his props when it's time to give him his props. Don't nitpick someone's achievement, man. No one likes that guy. When you do something well and they're like, yeah, but I know a guy who jumped 2 meters higher. No, bro. How is Europe lobbying South Africa when South Africa is already in the game?
South Africa is very careful to navigate this dicey space, particularly given the transatlantic conflict that we are all seeing.
Then why did we get involved? Why are we here? I mean, we've long championed that non-alignment stance for the country, and yet we're willing to get involved in this one. We have BRICS as a partnership that Russia is in, and our involvement with Russia stems many years, in fact. And on the other hand, we're also not trying to anger the United States. How do we get ourselves right in this? Why get involved in something like this then?
You know, Arabile, there are two approaches to...
As much as we're not trying to anger the United States, I think that probably made apparent Trump has never set foot on African soil. Trump's idea of what's happening in Africa is distant stories. The stories been hearing from Johan Rupert, and the things that are going to land are the exact things that are different to the rest of the world, or the things that you want to hear. So Trump's idea of who and what Africa is has probably shifted a lot in the last few months. And Cyril needs to keep pressing in a manner that like, yo, we roll with Russia. We roll with other countries who are respected. And even previous administrations like would respect Africa out of like sympathy. But Cyril is going there to show like, yo, bro, like we are the real deal. And it might be on the back foot of a thing, but we do need someone to go and do that for us. We do need someone that, at least when Cyril's gone, whoever's in America next, whatever party they're in, they know that like South Africa is like a proper country, guys. They complain about the people are free to complain about the government as they want. That's why it seems worse than what it is, because of freedom of speech. Like, fight me if you think I'm wrong. Same with America. America sounds bad. Sounds bad because people, they are allowed to complain. They're allowed to speak badly about the president. They're allowed to speak badly about the government and the country because it's freedom of speech. Same here in South Africa. Everyone who hates South Africa for whatever reason is free to say so. So they are slowly or quickly realizing South Africa is the real deal. And whether you voted for Cyril or not, he's our guy that must go talk. So this guy, inferiority complex.
The mediation. That's what is called contextual intervention and substantive intervention. Contextual intervention, it's creating conditions conducive for negotiation and to allow disputant to start negotiating. It's essentially a process where you build confidence amongst disputants. Now, the substantive intervention, you go straight to issues. Now, these two issues have been bedeviling the Russians and the Americans. The Russians have their conditions. The Ukrainians have their own conditions for the negotiations. The Ukrainian conditions are the contextual intervention. And the Russians have always have this substantive intervention. And in conflict resolution, at one stage, you can match the two approaches and create both contextual and substantive mediation. You are likely to make progress when you combine the two, because the Americans have moved away from the ceasefire. Ceasefire is regarded as a...
No disrespect, but I think all this homie is doing, and maybe there's a lot more to protocol and international relations. Homie is just showing us that he read his textbook. He's not saying anything. Like, I don't know how we don't see South Africa as having any meaningful impact on this whole thing.
Contextual intervention. They've moved away from that. They are of the view that you have to go to substantive discussion in order to resolve the conflict. The Europeans are not in favor of that. You have seen that during the White House discussions on the 18th, where actually even amongst themselves take the position taken by Macron and the position taken by Mance. They are not the same. Mance was saying the next discussion between the Russians, the Americans, or the Ukrainians must be preceded by a ceasefire. And Macron had a total different view. Stammer had a total different view. So you can see there are challenges amongst themselves. And South Africa gets involved in that, and South Africa is not even sitting around the table. So South Africa must be very careful about pronouncement. I've seen the statement by the presidency.
Yeah.
They are speaking about the next trilateral discussion. The Russians are having a total different view about the trilateral meetings. The Europeans have a different view about trilateral discussion. Macron said actually, they need, as the European, they need to sit around the table because the security architecture, the future security architecture of Europe is not only confined to Russia, Ukraine, it must include Europe in its entirety.
No, that's cool. The meeting that must still happen, which we cannot say Trump is the initiator of wanting this thing to happen, is for Zelensky and for Putin to be in the same room. That hasn't happened yet. And I don't even think they've even called each other. I don't even think they've even spoken on the phone. You're telling me South Africa is not going to be involved in that situation? You're telling me South Africa is not going to be involved in that situation? I even think, I just don't know if they're going to play politics. They should and they may decide to meet in South Africa. They should and they may decide to meet in South Africa before, during, or after G20. Then we must see if Donald Trump is still going to decide he's not coming. Because that's going to be a party that he doesn't want to be at. He doesn't not want to be at because it's going to show that he was not the sole peacemaker in the whole situation. Let's put it out into the universe. When Putin comes, they mustn't put pressure on us to arrest him. Same like they don't put pressure on anyone else to arrest Bibi that side. Zelensky and Putin should meet in South Africa, and then maybe this guy will be satisfied. Then Arabile, my head boy, must call him back and say, "Hey, my man, we might not be able to call you as an analyst, bro. You are way off in these things, and you are biased. Which side are you on?" Anyway, that's all we have time for. Russia, Ukraine, South Africa. We are within, Baba. We are within. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe. You can now become a member. Help support this channel. I think I need a few more lights. I think I need a few more ornaments on the cupboard over there. But thank you for watching. Become a member. Subscribe. Bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the On The Podcast.
Am I allowed to swear there?
Yeah, I know we said let's not blame the government.
It's just sad when we start then becoming indoctrinated. On me.